Yeah, we're going to do the second access project here. You want to follow these instructions, so when you click this link, it brings the instructions up. And then you're also going to download this file, so click that. It'll say no preview available, but you can click right there to download it, or right here, or go to File, Download. And once that file comes down, click it to open it, and choose Enable Content. So the first instruction here for us to do, download and open the file. We did that. We need to edit the volunteer table. Add a record with volunteer ID, this, your name, and a fake address, and all that. So I'm going to use Alt-Tab, go back here. Here's the volunteers table. I'm going to double click that to open the volunteers table. And it wants me to add a record with volunteer ID of 4 9s. I'm going to click right there, and 1, 2, 3, 4 9s. And it wants my name and a fake address. And I'll use East Lane, there we go, and Fresno 93741. State CA. Department, what department do they want? They want, for the department, customer service, and CIT 15 for the other one. So here I'm going to type in customer service and CIT 15 for right there. And I was pushing tab to go between the different fields there. So go ahead and do those steps. The next thing we're going to do is edit the department manager table. So come back to Access, and we're going to close this table right here. Close the volunteers table, and open up the department managers table by double clicking it. So just open that. And we're going to edit it, change the customer services department manager name to this. I'm just going to highlight that and use Control-C on my keyboard. So the customer services department manager. Customer service, I'm guessing that's it. I'm changing it from that to your first and last name. Okay, from this. So just type in Todd McLeod. There we go. So that's all I'm going to type in. Right there, customer service, type in your name, and that's the next step. We are on to the next step. We're going to create a new table, and we're going to add a field named volunteer ID, and then we're going to add another one, start date, and then we're going to add volunteer ID's primary key. So volunteer ID and start date. So we're going to go and close this table. We're going to go to create and choose create table and design view. And the first field is going to be volunteer ID. And it's going to be text. And then the next one's going to be start date, and it's going to be date. And volunteer ID, we're going to make that a key field. So I'll click right on volunteer ID, make sure that's selected, and then click primary key right there to set it as the key field. Go ahead and do those steps. We want to make sure we save this table now as start dates. I didn't do that last part of the step. So I'm going to just close the table, and it'll say, what do you want to save this as? And I'll say, yes, I want to save it. I'm going to save it as start dates and hit OK. So now I have this new table over here, start date. So go ahead and save your table. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to enter a whole bunch of data for the start dates. And so just go to your start dates table, double click it, and it'll open it. And you're going to enter data like this. I don't care if it's that same data, just enter some sort of volunteer ID. I'm going to start at 10/20 and then a date. And I'll go to 10/21 and then their date. I don't care what the dates are, and then 10/22. And notice if you try to enter the same number twice, you're going to have a problem. All right, it'll say, oh, duplicate data, so I got to make this 10/22. So you have to make sure, because these have to be unique. So go ahead and just enter a few records. 3 is fine. The next thing we're going to do is create a new form using the form wizard from the volunteers table. Include all the fields except default values, but change the title to edit volunteers. So we're going to go back to here. I'm going to close this table. We're going to create a form using the form wizard. So I'm going to click right there, and we're going to create it from the volunteers table. So right here I'm going to choose table volunteers and all of the fields, and I'm just going to click finish. And it wants me to call it edit volunteers. So when I close this, I didn't get a chance to rename it, but when I close it, I'm going to come over here and right click and choose rename and call it edit volunteers. So go ahead and do those steps. Our next step is to import the birthdays XLX spreadsheet as a new table in the current database, accept the defaults, and set the volunteer ID as birthdays XLS. I don't think we have that here. Give me a second. Let me see if I could get it for you. Okay, so we need to get this birthdays Excel spreadsheet, and I have it here linked. When you click that link, it'll kind of open it up in this view, but you want to file download that. So do the file download. It'll bring it down here, which it'll put it into your download folder. And once you've downloaded that, we want to open that, import that, and bring it in as a new table into the current database. So we're going to go to Access and go to File and see if there's something there for import external data. Excuse me, that's what we want, external data. And we're going to do an import Excel right here and specify the source data. We're going to click Browse. Mine's going to be in my download folder. It's right there. Open and import the source data into new table in the current database. Let's see what our instructions say. Import as a new table in the current database. Accept the defaults and set the volunteer ID as the primary key. So I'm going to hit OK and next, and field name, data, fine, and choose my own primary key, volunteer ID. Next, and import to table. Name the table birthdays. And finish. Don't save import steps. And now I have this birthdays table. Woohoo! If it doesn't work for you, by the way, I won't knock you down for this step. So go ahead and do that now. Next thing we're going to do is add a record to that. Includes your made-up ID and today's date. So we're going to go back to our access table, open up the birthdays table, and I'm just going to make up an ID and just put in a date. That's the next step. Go ahead and do that. It doesn't matter what date you put in, just put in a date. And the next thing we're going to do is create a query using a simple query wizard. So we're going to go back to Access, close your table so you don't have anything here. Go to Create, and we want a query, and we want the query wizard. We got Design Query Wizard right there. And simple query wizard. Hit OK. And so we want to create the query from the volunteers table. So I'm going to choose table volunteers, and we're going to do it with first name, last name, and department. So first name, last name, and department. So I just select those fields and then hit this little arrow to move them over. And name the query volunteer assignments and click finish. So next, volunteers assignments. And finish. There we go. There's my query. So go ahead and do those steps. They want us to create a copy of the volunteer assignment query and name it customer service volunteers. So I'm going to close this. And I'm going to, where is it? Volunteer assignments here. I'm going to right click that, choose copy, and then right click here and choose paste. And they want me to call it customer service volunteers. Customer service volunteers. Bump. So there we go. And I have customer service volunteers right there. There's my copy. So go ahead and do those steps. Our next step is we're going to open that customer service volunteers query in design view, and then we're going to do some changing to it. So we're going to open customer service volunteers, double click it, and then we're going to go to home and choose view, design view.
Thank you.
See ya. And design view allows us to change stuff around. So what do they want us to change around? Set the criteria for department field to display volunteers assigned to the customer service department. Department needs to be customer service. So just type customer service in there and hit tab, see mark, and then come up here and run it. And look at that, just brought up the customer service people. That's it.
Got lost
So
on that last step.
go ahead and do those steps. The next step for us is to establish a relationship in the database between department managers and volunteers. So we're going to go back here, go to Database Tools, Relationships, and they want us to create the relationship between department managers and volunteers table. So we're going to go to Show Table, Department Managers and Volunteers, close. And they want that relationship by creating one-to-many relationship between department field and department field. So we're just going to open this up and department, drag and drop department to department either way, and just hit create. Don't hit enforce referential integrity. Usually you do that, but not in our example because it could throw an error since we haven't been careful with our numbers. So just do those 2 steps right there and close the relationships window, saving changes. Save. So do those steps now. Our next thing is create a query using the simple query wizard, add a bunch of stuff to it. So we're going to go back here, create query wizard, and they want us to do simple query wizard, and add department managers and volunteers table. Yeah, you know, I'm not going to use the simple. Oh wait, no, here it is. Add the department, first name, last name fields from the department managers table. So department managers table, department managers, and they want department first name, last name. So department first name, last name from the department managers table. And then also add volunteer ID, first name, last name from volunteers table. So volunteers ID, first name, last name. So that's what they want added. That's how we do that. And once you've done that, click next. Name the query reporting structure, then click finish. Next, reporting structure, and then click finish. There we go. Isn't that interesting? So go ahead and do those steps now. Last step here for us, use the report wizard to create a report based on the reporting structure query. So we're going to go up to create, and then there should be a report wizard right there. And based upon the reporting structure query right there. And what do they want us to do? Add the following fields: department, volunteer ID, first name, last name. So department, volunteer ID, first name, last name. There we go. And what else? Accept the remaining defaults. And then name the report volunteers by department. Volunteers by department. Volunteers by department. Yay! All right, so we're done. Upload your act. Take a screenshot of this right here with these different things over to the left, and actually open up one of your queries. So that would be like, I don't know, just open up one of them like that. That's fine. Just open up volunteers assignments. But take a screenshot of that and turn it in, and you are done with this assignment.